morning, everyone. Okay, we were just wondering about the mic. So first of all, very happy to be here. My name's Dewan. I'm a partner with McMillan, and some of you may know, we have an office here, and we've had the office here for over 14 years. And I've been coming back and forth for a number of years, and I have to say, and even during COVID, so I have to say, it's so nice to be back. The energy is great, and we're really looking forward to this panel to talk about innovation and some of the opportunities in Hong Kong, how the environment has evolved, and get some really valuable feedback from entrepreneurs who have set up here, grown their business. And so why don't I'll introduce each of the panelists, and I would wait for each of you maybe just give a brief overview of your business. So to my right, Evelyn Cahill, CEO and co-founder of Style Carousel, Raymond Mack, CEO of Farmacy, and Ivan Lau, CEO and co-founder of Pantheon Labs. So maybe we'll start with you, Evelyn.
Sure. Thank you for that kind introduction. So yes, we started off as a Hong Kong Chinese Canadian team. We still have two software developers actually based out of Vancouver, Canada, who were from Hong Kong. And my co-founder and I subsequently came to Hong Kong from Canada. And I'm very excited to share with you a project that we've been working on. It gives women in Hong Kong an ultra convenient way to access their favorite designer labels, discover new ones, and at a great price, with the option to book and to buy. Basically, our platform is essentially like a gateway that for merchants, including Hong Kong and Canadian businesses, to connect directly with this rapidly growing new economy here in Asia, and within minutes. So we've got fully tailored technology. We also have innovative turnkey solutions that we offer to merchants for free. And what we hope to do is make it easy for merchants to access an alternative stream of revenue and to benefit from an alternative stream of revenue that is rooted in circularity. So you can think of us as a better alternative to the existing cloud-based inventory management systems and e-commerce platforms out there today, because we are built with circularity in mind. So we've got full reverse logistics, we've got sustainability analytics, and we've got a dedicated team with strong shared values. We also work with our like-minded partners in Hong Kong and in Canada to develop a truly unique product. And this is both merchants and end users as well, to develop a truly unique product that will hopefully change the way that we not only produce, but consume fashion, which is something that is a part of our everyday lives.
Okay, hello everyone. I'm Raymond, co-founder and CEO of Farmacy. So Farmacy is a quite international team, but two of my co-founders, CTO and CFO, are actually Canadian Chinese. Both come from Vancouver. Very important guys, to our team. And I think we are an international team that do agriculture data and system business. So when we say agriculture data, we are the first one in Asia to do decentralized farming, where we do the data to empower people to farm. So all our clients and partners in supermarkets, restaurants, malls, residential area, and also schools, they use our system empowered by the data that control the environment of the plants to grow very fresh, totally nutritious greens, and also reduce food waste. So all the partners that are working with us, especially in F&B sectors and also the supermarket sector, they successfully reduced the food waste by 25% over the past 2 years. And then also we are now the first agriculture company, technology company in Hong Kong to start our business in Thailand, and also planning to do it Australia and the Middle East. Later this year or the early next year, probably we are planning to to start an engineering team in Canada as well. So probably this is something that we would like to learn from you guys today.
Morning, guys. My name is Ivan. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Pantheon Lab, and I think I'm the only one who missed the dress code this morning. So sorry about that. So I'm also from Vancouver. I started the company a little bit over 3 years. So it was what we're doing is generative AI. It's a buzzword these days. I'm pretty sure everyone were tired of these ChatGPT and all these other stuff on YouTube and all social medias. But that's what the directions we saw a few years ago, and we're all rooted in Hong Kong. Also an international team with a team of AI researchers, developers, and we also tapped into some of the Web3 elements like metaverse. That's full of innovations in the team, and yes, just like Ray, we're also looking to expand to Canada if that's possible sometime in the future.
That's great. I mean, and I think you've touched upon something interesting there, Ivan, that I think Canada actually offers a lot in terms of setting up a business, having an R&D center. We actually have a client in Hong Kong Science and Technology Park, and we're actually working with Invest Alberta, but there doesn't seem to be a general awareness of some of the benefits of actually setting up in Canada and some of the benefits. So I'm really glad to hear that you're doing that. So we work with a lot of young growing companies that are globally looking at markets. And I think what would be great to understand from each of you is kind of, and you touched upon it a bit, but I would like to know, like, what brought you to Hong Kong? Was it a strategic decision? Were you here and that's why you set up here? And in setting up here, like, what were some of the challenges that you faced in those days setting up here in the innovation system in Hong Kong? So maybe I'll start with Evelyn.
Our team was originally based here in Hong Kong, and we were all working in the finance sector here. And we noticed that there's a gap in the market here in Hong Kong for our product. Basically, we noticed it was a very buzzy city. There were tons of events and opportunity for event or like changes of clothes and outfits and things like that. And with that came a lot of waste. So in terms of why we set up here, one, there was a lot of opportunity. Two, it was a very small, kind of very densely populated city. And it had a very competitive last mile delivery services. I'm not sure if you're aware, but it's quite good compared to other countries. So it really helped us with order fulfillment. And lastly, there was a strong demand from the brands that we had surveyed and spoke to actually be here in Hong Kong. So that was one of the main reasons that we chose to test and set up here in Hong Kong.
And how about challenges? Like, what were some of the, I know it's very easy to incorporate companies here, it's very business friendly, but what were, as a founder setting up a business there, I'm curious on what the challenges were.
I guess in terms of the technicalities and things like that, it was very, very smooth, very easy, especially because we were all Hong Kong Chinese people, so it made it quite smooth. But one of the main challenges we found was at the time that we wanted to release our beta test and start actually rolling out our soft launch, it was towards the end of 2019 and 2020. And it was quite difficult in that the city was physically closing up. So it was very challenging because we were quite events-based. Our company really relies on that buzzy city life that we had talked about earlier. And with that challenge, I guess, came opportunity as well, in that what we noticed was as the city was physically closing up, it really began to digitally open in terms of its collaboration in the online space. So I would say in a way it kind of helped us in that stage, because we were still developing our product and trying to really fine tune it and make sure it was really solving problems for our users. So with that, I guess it made that online communication a lot easier. And an observation would be that we noticed a lot of the brands and the retailers we spoke to were a bit more willing to share their problems during that time. I think everyone was really on kind of survival mode and keen to open up and talk about their problems and express to us things that they might not have expressed to us previously. And it also made it easier for us to get meetings with them and connect with them, because whereas before, I think a lot of brands would have required a more formal meeting. I would have had to require to fly to the country to meet them, set all that up. It didn't seem so strange to kind of give them a Google Links meet and meet with them, at 5 p.m. before dinner, and say, hey, let's talk about the problems with your business and how we can find a solution for you. So I guess in that sense, that was our observation. And with these challenges and observations, what we noticed is we really created a communication channel and a dialogue, really, between the brands and the retailers that we were working with, and our end users and beta testers here in Hong Kong, to solve this problem and really kind of open up that channel. So we ended up making this a regular routine. We created a tool on our merchant dashboard, for example, where merchants can log in and generate quarterly reports that update them on the stats and analytics and give them insight on the things that are important to them. And we slowly kind of fine-tuned that and worked out, what it is that they needed to really solve the problems in their business, and how to make their business more circular. They find these things very useful. So I guess in that sense, we've created that dialogue to really open up the communication channels and further kind of bridge that innovation ecosystem within our partners and our end users.
I'm curious what the what opportunities, if any, there were for mentors. Were there founders around? Was there a network of people that you could access to as you were setting up your business who could guide you? I'm just curious. I know I didn't plan this question, but I was thinking about it.
I missed the question. You just start from the beginning.
So, are there, as a founder of a business here, do you see there being a community of people who can mentor startups, people that you can go to? Is that something that's readily available?
In the fashion and tech space, I guess sustainability tech space, I mean, generally, I think Hong Kong is excellent for startups. But what I found personally, and during that time, is the fashion industry really struggled. And a lot of those events and support channels really kind of closed up. So it was quite difficult for us, because that was the time we really wanted to launch and get at people's opinions and learn. So that was definitely a struggle. But what I did notice is that as the opportunities in, I guess, fashion and maybe fashion tech kind of closed up a bit, I did notice that it kind of turned a bit more attention and awareness towards the sustainability element. People were a bit more hyper aware of the waste that was happening around them. And there was a real push at that time, maybe because of masks floating around everywhere, and everyone was just kind of sick of it. So I did feel that there was a good kind of community in terms of people trying to help other people find more sustainable ways. So I guess with some bad came some good as well. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Raymond?
Yeah, so basically we are a Hong Kong-based team. I was working in the consulting industry. And then before we form a team, then my CTO, who's the Canadian Chinese, he's also the winner of Alibaba Jumpstarter 2019, I would say, 2018. So we all come together in Hong Kong because our urban farming technology solution is really thinking Hong Kong is the best area, to start. Basically because it can maximize, our benefits and also the values, to people here. Hong Kong has more than 98% of our vegetables being imported, from somewhere outside Hong Kong, and this is why we can add values to it, because the situation here, we can actually grow the plants not only because we can save the freshness and also the nutritious, but then also we can maximize the ESG impact that we grow. Currently, if we can save the plants, imported from the US or the Europe or any other part of the world, then the 1 square meter farming system in our company can save almost 2 tons of CO2 a year. All right, so that's the thing that we can make an impact to our investor and also our partners, saying that we can help you not only on the plants but also on ESG as well. And basically, if you look at Hong Kong, even very small city, of course, but then the economic benefits and also the partners here are actually really good. When we talk about the supermarket, within that small city, we have 700 supermarkets in Hong Kong. One of probably like more than 100 is actually middle to high for middle to high income group, and then the number of middle to high end restaurants is more than 400 to 500 as well. So within this very small city, we can actually maximize of our impact here. And of course, because of the international network in Hong Kong, we can easily got in touch with other countries as well, because where most of the regional headquarters, not only the supermarket, but also other land developers and fund are all based in Hong Kong. So to make us to expand the other market really possible. So this is why we think that if we talk about the urban farming technologies and solution, Hong Kong is one of the best places in the world.
Cool. Yeah. So I came back in the middle of 2019. So starting out wasn't as easy, but then why I actually I was in sorry. I started my entrepreneurship 10 years ago. So I actually came back to Hong Kong from Vancouver, being a software engineer. So it was great because I was working for SAP in Yaletown, if everyone remember that, and then I came back to start a business solutions company with some partners, and they were. And back then, 2012, it was very good years when Chinese economies were blooming. So we're like, oh, let's just start some business in China, but we were in Hong Kong. So without knowing, there's a lot of logistic nightmare working between Hong Kong and the mainland back then. So we started out, we ended up okay, and then I moved to Malaysia to start another startup. So a few years later, got a little bit of exit, and then I was thinking, hey, should I? What's next for me? So and then I was very into the deep tech, and then I was scouting who are the candidates, or how should I assemble my team? And I found that Hong Kong has huge talent pools of good talents, especially in engineering and in scientific researches and stuff. So I came back, chat with a few universities, professors, and then we kind of got my team that way back in 2019. I still believe back in the days when we got lots of talent pools to do heavy research, we got lots of international students who came here to study and then wanting to stay in Hong Kong. And same for, we got people from France, UK, US, India, Malaysia, and they all wanted to stay here. So it's a very good place for us. And then some of it, but then I guess we didn't started as at a very good time, but like the market wasn't as great, and also well, because what we were doing, I mean, now is cool stuff, but 3 years ago, when you say, hey, we will build an AI that could really talk to you like a human, and then they were, oh, that's cool. Are you in fintech? No. Are you in biotech? Are you building cure for COVID? No. So we're not interested. So, and then yeah. So, but yeah. After all these years, I think markets picked up. I mean, it's a great environment right now. Like I think it's just feel very different now.
So there's an interesting comment about there being a depth of a talent pool. Like, and I think it's fair to say that we've seen in some parts of North America or even Europe, like there is a shortage of actually good, strong, technically trained engineers. Is that still the case here? Like, are you seeing, I know your comment that people always wanted to be here, whether they're from India, France, has that changed since you set up? Like, or do you see people going, back to Silicon Valley or other markets?
Yeah, very good questions. Actually, no, we still get, on a weekly basis, we do get organic resumes coming in, and again, the way we ask them, like part of the reason is because we're also in Hong Kong. It has been a very good place. I mean, it has been. Everybody knows Hong Kong is a very international city, and they don't see themselves coming here will have problems blending in. That's a very big plus for a lot of candidates for us.
It's great to hear. So one of the things I think founders of companies are always looking at when they're assessing a jurisdiction is kind of funding. What's the VC environment like? What's the ability to raise capital? Are there local institutions, government or otherwise, that would support startups? I'd really like each of your insights on kind of what that environment's like. Has it changed since you started? Is there more of an appetite for investing in growth stage companies, or?
Yes, I think we see a lot of changes in the past 3 years. Like I said before, I think Hong Kong used to, at least when I started, used to be very heavily invested in the fintech. I think that's no doubt, right? I mean, it's very understandable. It kind of the investment appetite kind of had that bias, but over time, yes, and of course we also had that government support from the Science Park. We were in the incubation program. That kind of changed quite a lot. At least we don't have to concern about the rental. It was very heavily subsidized for us. And then they also helped us in reaching out to the right investors, right partners. So that really helped.
Like local investors.
Local investors, yes. And as the market changed, I guess because what we do is it's very virtual thing, right? Like metaverse, we do digital humans, we do all these AI stuff that happens online. So when COVID hits us, it's actually it was kind of good thing for us that people start to realize there are quite a lot of potentials how we could change the way we deal with the internet. Yes.
Yeah. So for funding, we mainly talk about the public and private fundings in Hong Kong. So I think a few years ago when people talk about the startup ecosystem in Hong Kong, they have been saying that the money, especially from the government, is not that encouraging in terms of supporting the system. But then, in fact, when we do the research and also experience of Farmacy, it is actually not the case. In Hong Kong, government, as what Evan said, we are from Cyberport, and then also we have a new tenancy in Science Park that we get quite a lot of funding in terms of the rental, and also some of the not co-investment, but then the support to get the technology adoption in the community. For example,
So supporting kind more, or
just in kind, because for example, we have a technology adoption with a F&B operator to run a collaborative F&B project in the full pharmacy in Science Cyberport. So instead of getting direct investment from Cyberport, but then we can get a really good rent, to run these startup F&B collaboration projects. Is where to get the people to understand how we can use the greens, the farm to table experience, not only on the provision and the supply, but also the services that make us a true farming as a service company. So this is a part of the funding that we have. And then over the past few years, we didn't really have to actively look for external funding yet, because we work with the universities on the R&D with fundings, and also some of the public funding from a BUD fund, for example, ESS, and all these kind of government-funded program that can make us really grow not only in Hong Kong but then also in other places in the world already. So but of course the reason why we say the funding situation, or especially the public funding here, because rent is high, the labor cost is high. So that's why compared to the Thailand ecosystem, the Singapore ecosystem, comparatively, the funding that we got, the burn rate is actually faster than others, right? But really, when we compare, for example, in Thailand, when we look at the incubation system, if we set up the office there, they can give you the office, but then you have to rent it, and then they get you probably 6 to 8% of the equity, which is actually pretty crazy. Yeah, so so this is the thing in Hong Kong, that they get the funding to you, and then they didn't really ask for any equity. So for the public funding, I think especially on the past few years, it's getting more mature. On the private funding, I think Hong Kong is very strong in Series A and above. So in terms of course, we got a really good angel and seed network. But then, the real money, to get into the investment is always, Series A and Series B right now. For example, especially for the corporate fund, when we talk to them, then definitely they're looking for Series B and above, where they can they would rather make a more safe bet, on the startup business. So
because you're commercialized, so they're not taking
commercialized. They have to have a they want to invest in a growth stage rather than an MVP and a prototype stage. And then also when we talk to other players in the field, and most of the fund may not be very interested in investing in R&D. So rather they want you to be really ready, for the market. So there's actually a little bit of a characteristics in Hong Kong. But then when you look at these characteristics, it means that when you are ready to accelerate your business, then Hong Kong is one of the best markets in the world.
I guess a lot of the points have already been touched on there, but for the fashion space, again, I guess my personal experience has been a bit different because of the period of time in which we were trying to soft launch our product. But unfortunately, I think during that time, a lot of the funding opportunities had dried up in the fashion space, which is again why we actually had such a strong network with the partners that we do work with. In terms of finding space to work rent-free and all that, I think that still is out there. There's a few here in Hong Kong that do support fashion startups and fashion tech startups. Although in terms of the large-scale funding that was pre-2019, I'm not quite sure that that opportunity is still there, but I do expect it to come back as the city opens up. So I guess for us, our personal experience, what we've had to do, and we're not at the stage right now where we're looking for funding, but we've kind of gone for a model where we actually work with our partners to fund essentially what we're doing, in that because it's so collaborative, a lot of the other, I guess you could say, circular or rental platforms out there in fashion have traditionally bought all of the inventory. So that would require, 30 million or plus in terms of fundraising just to actually start your project, because they have to buy, tons of inventory to even get started. Whereas what we've done is we're completely inventoryless, and we kind of share the costs with our partners, in that with our technology, they're able to stream in real time their inventory onto our platform, and customers can use it. So we don't actually have to have that upfront cost, and they don't have to have that upfront cost in terms of investing in an entire platform to enter the circular market, because that's just really a big task for any single retailer or brand, or even a lot of the small independent labels that we work with. So I guess in terms of trying to get funding, it's, do you really need it at the stage? Or are there other more creative ways that you can try to work around it until you get to a stage where you really need it? So I don't think necessarily, even though that funding space might have dried up slightly currently right now, that you need to kind of be demotivated because of that.
Yeah, and I think it's fair to say it's globally the venture environment's kind of shrunk with valuation. So there's challenges here that are no different than challenges in other systems, other innovation markets. So I know the last panel talk kind of touched upon the property market, and there was a bit of a discussion about, Singapore, Hong Kong. So let me frame it in a broader sense. Like, obviously, since COVID or post-COVID, and even now, we have seen the emergence of other jurisdictions, whether it's Singapore or Dubai or others that have kind of tried to position themselves as homes for startups, maybe some more focused on particular sectors, crypto, perhaps in the UAE, fintech, family offices, asset management in Singapore. I'm curious as to your thoughts as founders sitting here in Hong Kong, witnessing this. We have gone through a change in the policy environment here. What's your assessment of kind of those markets? Do you see peers of yours going to Singapore or Dubai and leaving Hong Kong or setting up other divisions? I'm curious on each of your thoughts about this, because this is like a live issue, right? Like, for people who are now looking at markets, they're trying to understand the value propositions of each. And I think we've talked about Hong Kong. And I mean, for what it's worth, I would say I still think Hong Kong has a very entrepreneurial streak or DNA. It has a high level of sophistication and experience in terms of doing international business. So there is a learning curve in some of those other markets, but I'd love to get each of your perspectives on that in this debate.
Yeah, sure. So over the past few months, I've been traveling, to different places, and then one of the places is Singapore. Singapore, I think everyone knows right now the capital market is vibrant there, right? With a lot of hot money, and then for the investment opportunity there. I think in terms of agriculture technology sectors, I think in Singapore compared to Hong Kong, they have a more mature industry policy supported by the government. So since 2021, we have been in touch with the Singapore government for different discussion points, to see whether our technology can be landed in Singapore. And then actually we see the policies is actually very mature there, in terms of the support, in terms of land and others. But of course, the setup time will probably 6 to 9 months. Okay, it's a little bit longer than what we do in Hong Kong. But then it's only when you want to get the funding support, from the Singapore government. But in terms of the community, where the investor for food tech, for agri tech in Singapore is actually good. And then and on the other hand, we are also in touch with 2 major corporations in the UAE. the Abu Dhabi and also Dubai, they are very interested, mostly because they are also investing a lot, including one of their very important event, COP28, later this year, so that the market and also the investors and also the government get quite prepared for anything related to ESG, with the green living, which is actually quite in line with our strategy and vision. So when we see the jurisdiction, then what Hong Kong may need to catch up with probably the industry policies, where the government has been quite I would say they didn't really invest a lot in the industry sectors. So most of the funding are actually to all sectors, all different part of stakeholders. And then also when we talk to the government, we also say there should be some support from the government in the national pitch, where the government officials can support some of the major project pitch on a global context. So I will say we are of course catching up. You can see the new government session. They start changing their mindset. Also they start doing something differently. Not sure about the results, but then definitely is something that probably we need to invest in.
Yeah, so I think it's a welcome change from the last news we have heard. Just that I guess from the talent perspective, I think like something that we could maybe reference Singapore side is that like they do protect the local like PRs, and in order to establish business, you do have to have a local director or like some interest for back to the locals. I think for us, like spending a few years, building up the businesses, when we hear, oh yeah, like we need to get more talents coming to Hong Kong by having a lot of incentives to outside companies from different regions. We were like, it's great, but you're giving the money to other corporates from other countries to come here to take our talents, where we spend our time building up the talent pool. And well, I mean, that might not be very to our best of interest, who spend a lot of time building up the business here. So I would say like that might be something that the policy could help us out here in locally. I mean, sorry, it's a Ken Cham. I forgot, but yeah. So, but it's good just to. I mean, for our side, we do our biggest markets actually is not from Hong Kong, like Southeast Asia, Japan. Like we do have a lot of businesses from there. But we choose to stay here. I think we do see the potential that we could build like from all these policy changes. It could be a very good innovation space in Hong Kong. Yes.
For Hong Kong, I mean, I still think it's a great place to attract talent, and I think they'll continue to attract top talent. And I guess just for our unique experience, at that time, it just happened to be quite difficult to hire, especially the foreign talent that we had needed with the skill set that we needed to really set up here. So we did naturally look to Singapore when we expanded our network. So we did end up moving a good chunk of our technical team over to Singapore, where we were able to easily get work passes, multiple work passes within a few months, and set up bank accounts and all like that virtually. And I think as Hong Kong opens up again, I feel that similarly that will be the case. And hopefully, the policymakers here in Hong Kong will continue to work on streamlining that process and just making it a lot easier for startups to hire the teams that they need that might not necessarily be local people in Hong Kong. And I guess that goes the same as if we were to hire our technical talent from Canada coming into Hong Kong, just making it a bit simpler and quicker. That would be really nice. So that would be our personal experience with that.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, we have 5 minutes left, and so maybe we'll pause and open up the floor for any questions from the audience.
Oh, and I wanted to add something that Nigel was speaking about earlier about the Greater Bay Area. This is an area that a lot of our partners have expressed interest in the fashion and sustainability tech space, and even designers, fashion labels themselves. And we're just not really aware of any kind of schemes or plans for Hong Kongers or even, people based in Hong Kong or Canada to actually access that market. So that would be another kind of point that I would like to make, and it'd be really helpful,
It's a great point. It's a great market, and Hong Kong is a great stepping stone for that market. Well, I didn't see any questions, so I wanted to thank each of our panelists for your time and your insights. It's been great. Thank you.